I'm Marcy Barron, and this is Mondays with Marcy. I'm your homeward bound guide to everything 5D living. I can't wait to share with you tips and tools to guide your personal transformation so that you can live a life that thrills you. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Mondays with Marcy. This episode is called The Lesson of Your Soul, and I just love this topic. So remember, there are 3 levels of understanding: knowledge. Maybe this is the first time you're going to hear it. Maybe this is integration for you. You've heard this before, and maybe you're starting to integrate this and make this part of your understanding in a deeper way, or embodiment, literally living, walking, talking, breathing this information. So many years ago, I read a book called Your Soul's Plan by Robert Schwartz, and I read it after an incredible event that literally changed the trajectory of my life. I had given birth to a premature infant son. His name is Benjamin, and he lived for 8 weeks in the NICU and then died. He was a 25-week-old micro-preemie infant, and he was 1 pound, 12 ounces. And I had so much grief, so much pain, so much guilt, because I thought it was my fault that he died, because I had things that came up in my pregnancy. I had a blood clotting disorder, and he was a beautiful, healthy, developing baby. But in order to save my life, they had to deliver my son through an emergency C-section. So this was very painful for me, and very I had a lot of guilt. I kept thinking, I was like, wow, if I didn't have this problem, he would be here and he wouldn't have died. And I went into a full-blown victim mode because it was my first pregnancy. I was 31 years old, and I was like, why me? Why me? Why me? And it wasn't until several years later, my daughter, who was born, so my son was born a year after that. My daughter was born 4 years after that. So it wasn't until 6 years after the death of my son, Benjamin, when I went to a psychic medium. And she said to me, she's like, your son is here. No, she's like, no, that's not what she said. She's like, there's a baby here, a baby with baby boy, your baby boy. And I burst into tears. I was like, that's my son, Benjamin. And she said to me that he was saying to her, you hold so much guilt for his passing. She said, he advanced his soul by deciding to die, to leave this planet. He spared you, himself, and your husband so much pain. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I had this full hysterical crying, full release, and I felt literally my heart being sewn up in that moment. I couldn't believe what he was saying to me. And my whole life, I always believe in being a soul. I was raised to know that our souls never die. And I couldn't believe that we had a choice to decide what was going to happen. So I was just like, my mind was blown, literally. And through this healing of my heart, through this information and connecting, and in that moment, she says, he's with your Nana. And she literally uses the word Nana. What's her? And then she's like, her name, and she's telling me her name. And it was just blew me away. And it brought me so much comfort. It confirmed everything that I knew to be true in my heart. And then I was like, what the heck is she talking about? What the heck is going on? He advanced his soul. He had a choice. So here's what I want you to understand. Life is a one-room schoolhouse where we all incarnate to learn the lessons of our soul. We each have an individualized curriculum depending on what it is that we need to learn. Our lessons are unique to each person and come via people and situations that will help us grow. And here's the thing, guys. We decide these lessons in soul planning meetings with our soul family and our guides before we are born. And there are certain key decision points where, with our free will, which is our choice of whether we want to, as my son said, made the choice to die, or make the choice to get divorced, or make the choice to take that job, or make the choice to marry that person. The analogy that I like to use is the choose your own adventure stories. So if you've ever read those books, it was a book series that I was obsessed with as a little girl, and you would read, and then it said at the end of the chapter, if you want to go to the cave, go to page 55. If you want to go to the castle, go to page 60. And you got to choose. Do I want to go to the cave? Do I want to go to the castle? So it was always a choice where you got to go. And I want you to understand that that's what happens for you as a soul. And these choice points are integral to our journey. Now, with that being said, ultimately, we all get to the same place of where we are meant to go, because here's the thing. If you see yourself and your soul's purpose, your life, your journey, as if you're going up a mountain, and you can decide also, this is another great analogy, to take the blue trail or the red trail. All right. And you're making the choice. How do I want to get to the top? And it's the blue or the red. So again, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter because it can be easier. It can be with more vistas. It can be much more comfortable and smoother. I've chosen, and you may in this very moment, to learn your lessons through ease and joy and bliss and love and higher consciousness. And many of us are literally like shoveling shit against the tide in some ways to learn our lessons through pain and sorrow and discomfort. So you can decide in this very moment and declare it with me. I choose to learn my lessons, the lessons of my soul, through joy, ease, and peace. So here's the thing. And I read a book called Your Soul's Plan by Dr. Robert Schwartz, and I have it in front of me. And I just want you to understand through his beautiful words, because this was it. Once I heard this, that we have a choice, I was like, I need to learn more about this. And in his book, Robert Schwartz, the subtitle is Discovering the Real Meaning of the Life You Planned Before You Were Born. And listen to the end of this podcast, because I'm going to take you through an exercise to help you understand the lesson of your soul. But again, this book is really cool. And he really talks about in this book the pre-birth planning sessions. And he works with psychic mediums that are able to tap into these pre-birth planning meetings. So if you will, imagine you're in a classroom when you're in that in-between state with your guides, with your soul family. And for example, you need to learn the lesson of your soul around unconditional love. And the people in your soul family are sitting there and you decide on a curriculum. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to be Marcy Barron, and a soul raises their hand to be my mother. A soul raises their hand to be my father. They are supporting my evolution in the unique ways that they do. And again, some of it's really challenging. I had a very, rocky childhood, a child of divorce, and then the loss of my child and my own divorce. And all of this was set up to grow. And once again, and I keep bringing this home on the podcast, once again, if you are focusing on how this is happening for you and not happening to you, you're literally able to shift your perspective of why you're here. And in this book, Robert Schwartz talks about the pre-birth planning process. But I just love how he is able to sum this up. He says, eager to understand the suffering I had experienced, I asked my guides about the major challenges I had faced. They explained that I had planned these challenges before birth, not for the purpose of suffering, but for the growth that would result. I was shaken by this information. My conscious mind knew nothing of pre-birth planning, yet intuitively I sensed truth in their words. And if you know, or maybe you don't, a spiritual awakening to your spiritual self is a remembering. This is you remembering the true essence of who you are, which is a soul. So what I want you to understand is that you can look at your challenges rich with purpose. You can look at your challenges with opportunities. You can replace, and I want you to feel your feelings, the fear, the anger, the resentment, the blame, the pity, and then you can shift into a focus of growth. And you might even be into a place of gratitude, because let me tell you, the death of my son required so much healing of my heart, and it is what led me to this path to hold space for healing for others. It is through my deepest pain, it is through my wounds that I turned into my wisdom. So that is really powerful. And if you can even conceptualize that you set it up before you were born, because you are here to grow as a soul. You are pure light. And being in these dense bodies, it's hard. It's not our natural state. So through the duality, through the difficulties, through the challenges, we are able to come back into our true nature, which is oneness. Separation is an illusion. If you take a drop from the ocean, isn't it still the ocean? So that's what we're all here to remember. And again, I keep wanting you to remember compassion and empathy for yourself, because you are everyone. You think you are an individual identity. However, we really are one. So here's the thing. You get to remember that you are the ocean in this drop. And it is through our soul's purpose, through the soul contracts, through our lessons of our soul, if you will, that we get to remember. And someone told me the meaning of remember is to remember. We bring back pieces of ourselves that were lost. So if you are here to grow, and if you have an individual curriculum, how do you know what the lesson of your soul is? What is it that you need to learn? And I just love this quote by Eckhart Tolle. Life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at the moment. So it's really quite simple. The way to know what your soul needs to learn is by identifying what you are experiencing right now. So I want you to try this. I want you to imagine that you're standing in the forest and you see all the trees around you. And I want you to imagine putting your phone in a drone, and you're sending the drone up, 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 all the way up over the forest. And now we are zooming out on your life. There's literally a bird's eye view. So we're going to ask and do a little inquiry as to what is the big picture issue. Are you struggling? What is it? What is the big picture issue you are struggling with? Are you having difficulty in relationships? Is it with work? Is it with money? Your health? Is it with worthiness and confidence? Or are you experiencing balance in every single area of your life? And by identifying what you might be struggling with, this holds the lesson your soul needs to learn. So let me give you some examples. A client told me he had a fabulous life until about 10 years ago. Everything was easy and effortless as far as earning money. Yet he was very arrogant when he was making all that money. And so he had fallen into harder times. And what happened was he needed then to learn humility and grace and appreciation for what he has. A woman, she struggles with fear and the need to control everything. And she has been given a life-threatening condition and is in need of an organ transplant. So what is her lesson? Her lesson is learning that she really isn't in control of anything and can only control how she responds to what is happening. Another woman struggles with being heard. She used to yell and lose her temper most of the time. Now she's in a terrible divorce and custody battle. And her lesson is now speaking with poise, control, and diplomacy. Remember that the lesson repeats as needed. So it will keep coming back over and over and over again in different forms via different people and situations until your soul learns that lesson. And the awareness, again, that this is happening for me to grow, as opposed to the victim mentality as this is happening to me because I'm being punished, is a powerful shift in mindset. So I'm going to take you now through a step-by-step way to identify the lesson of your soul. The good news is you can never get it wrong, and you never run out of time. The not so good news is once you master this one, there will always be another one to learn. There is always another level up. Many of us are focusing when I get there. There is no there. If you can view your life as a train journey without a destination, it is the journey that we're here meant to enjoy. We're meant to learn, and there are stops along the way. There are beautiful vistas and terrific company and people that come on and off the train. And there's always another part of your journey. All right, so I want you to get a piece of paper, or maybe as you're listening to this, find a note on your phone where you can write down some information, and just take a deep breath in through the nose and let it out. We're going to do 2 more, getting present into the moment. Deep breath and let it out. 1 more big deep breath and let it out. And I want you to call in your angels and your spirit guides. Just invite them in. And I want you to set the following intention. I want you to say it out loud. Thank you, angels and guides, for giving me clarity on what it is my soul needs to learn. I am open to your wisdom and guidance now. And just take a breath on that and let it out. And now on your blank piece of paper or in your phone, I want you to make a list of the things that feel difficult in your life. And I want you to be as specific as possible. List all the things. Is it, with a partner? Is it with your children? Is it being seen and heard? Maybe you're living in a lot of fear given what's going on in the world. And with each difficulty that you list, I want you to categorize a general theme it falls into. It can include, but not be limited to, relationships, money, career, health, self-esteem, soul's purpose, romantic love, connection. Just make a list of the things that you're experiencing, and then with each one categorize a general theme. And that might be enough for you to go, wow, the real thing that I'm experiencing here, my category, is all about my health. Or, wow, it's all about relationships. That might be enough, but you can go even further. And again, if you were to look over your list and extrapolate what the lesson is, what would it be? And the most common lessons are about surrender. A lot of people feel the need to control. It might be about your self-worth. It might be about flexibility or possibility, right? You might be very narrow-minded and everything that comes up in your life reflects that. It might be about forgiveness. It might be about moderation or a balance. Another big one is unconditional love or authenticity. So just take a look at your list. And maybe, as I said, one of those words, you got like a little ping, or you're like, oh, that's it. It might be that, it might be something else. And this information might not come all at once. Be open to receiving more information at a later time as you have set this intention. The point in doing this is awareness. Because when you identify what you need to learn, you are then empowered to make a different, more loving choice. Deepak Chopra says, every time you are tempted to react in the same old way, ask if you want to be a prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future. So again, with curiosity and compassion, you go, oh, there it is. Here's my individualized curriculum that I'm working on around unconditional love. And you can decide if you want to go to the cave or you want to go to the castle. It's up to you to decide the path. It's up to you to decide when you are ready to react in the same old way. The universe never runs out of time. So you can never get it wrong. And here's the thing. You come back through all of your incarnations to learn these lessons of your soul. So if you don't get it and understand it now, you can make the choice to come back and set up another individualized curriculum. So if you want to learn more about that, stay tuned for my next podcast, because that's what we're going to be talking about, is past lives. So I hope this was really helpful for you to reframe it. I hope this was interesting and maybe, again, something you've never heard before, something you might have heard, or now you're just living, walking, talking, breathe it. For me, I literally go through my life and I say, what is the opportunity here? Thank you. Thank you for being here. I am so grateful. Have a beautiful day. That's it for this week's episode of Mondays with Marcy. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter at marcybaronclears.com. I also would love for you to follow me on your favorite podcasting app so that you don't miss a single episode. I'm Marcy Baron, and thanks for listening. I am so grateful you are here.